Hey guys, King of Charmander here. Alright, so we're going to have Machamp, and like I said, I'm going to analyze every single league for Machamp. Here is Open Ultra League Machamp. So Machamp in Open Ultra League would be really interesting because Giratinas and other things, you should be able to wipe it out with Payback. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into analysis. However, as far as like just his typing, it's a pure fighting type, high attack, good stamina, low defense. So if you use the Shadow one, that can work too, I think. Now, the thing about Open Ultra League is that you have to be careful for Togekiss because it's weak to Fairies. So watch out for those Charmers, Flying, and Psychic. But you do resist Bug, Dark, and Rock, which is still pretty prevalent because of Obstagoon. Obstagoon is definitely in there. Let's see, Bug types, like, I think Scizor is like X-Scissor, and Rock Slides, you do resist these typings. Now, of course, you have the option of Counter, Dynamic Punch, Close Combat, Cross Chop, Submission. Don't ever use Submission. It's a really bad move. Rock Slide and or Payback. Machamp is a beast for several reasons. Is because of its high attack, its ability to spam a ton of moves, and with Payback, it gives it coverage against its Ghost resisted type in Go Battle League. So that's why it's really good in Open. Alright, here we go with the Peepbook.com rankings, and as you see, Machamp and Shadow Champ actually rank in Open Ultra League. As you see here, it's pretty nuts. Shadow Champ, our regular match. We'll go off a regular Machamp versus the Shadow one. We'll see if there's any comparisons. As you see, best used in the lead, or well, it's pretty even across the board, honestly. Best used in the lead. You're able to take out things like Swampert, Melmetal, Obstagoon, Excavalier, and Lapras, which are all really popular picks. However, you do lose against Giratina. You lose against Cresselia. Of course, Articuno is a popular lead as well, so that's something you have to watch out for. Especially if you're not rocking Rock Slide. You lose against Venusaur because, of course, it does resist fighting, and Gyarados because it resists fighting as well. Because you don't have that Rock Slide threat, you do pick up some losses. However, with Payback, you are able to actually take out some of your weaknesses. Well, it looks like Shadow Champ is actually the better lead scenario. You lose Closer Power, but both are generally the same. But with Shadow, you get to pick up the Giratina Altered matchup in the One Shield, which is always pretty good. So you basically trade out Swampert for Shadow Champ. Or for Giratina, which is, I would take it in that sense, just because Giratina Altered is one of your biggest walls, and be able to take it on one shield is pretty dang good. As you see here, in Ultra League, the lead Machamp with Shadow ranks at number 20. Being able to take out, like I mentioned before, Giratina Altered, several other meta picks, and Machamp, you basically flip Swampert, or you flip Gyarados Altered in the ones. In the closer, as you see, regular Champ is better than Shadow Champ, just because you have that extra bulk. Being able to take out Alolan as well, and in the closer, it's a bad idea because you're gonna lose. Unless you have energy lead and you're able to wipe out Giratina Altered, there's a lot of things that can take you down. So just be mindful of that. Now Shadow Champ ranks at 108 on the Switch. Let's see, so it's like 21, and then you have 25. So 21 Machamp Shadow is at takes out Swampert, Mel, Obstagoon, Muck, and Excavalier, and then regular one. So they're pretty even across the board. I would say you don't really have to worry about using one or the other. So it's just really up to you. I think the regular one would do better just because of the bulk, but we'll take a look and see on the matrix to see if it does make a difference. Alright, hey guys, it's King of Charmanders with the Matrix, which is my favorite part. So if you would like to, as I always say, please consider donating to peeppoke.com. And as you see here, I'm only going to cover Machamp with Cross Chop and Payback. I'm not going to go too complicated into it, because if I do, it gets a little too much. Plus, this is the moveset I think is right, because with Cross Chop, you cover some things, and with Payback, you can nuke your weaknesses. So, if you see here, we're going to put in the 2 shield, and in the 2s, this is what I mean about Cross Chop. So, with Cross Chop, as you see here, you can take out both versions of Abomasnow, and the Shadow version can actually take out Articuno straight Cross Chop. As you see here, you just straight Cross Chop and you take out Articuno, which is pretty huge because just double Icy Wind and you can come out of this. You win Switch, and you have a hefty amount, and you have you might be able to get some energy and fire another Cross Chop. It's gonna be debuff, but you still being able to win against Articuno is nuts. You lose against Charizard, Clefable. You don't want to see Charmers, of course, with a fighter. Cresselia, Dragonite, Drifblim, basically any flowers. This is where it gets kind of iffy. So actually here, let me do this. We'll do this. We'll put the Rock Slide version here just to give a comparison. I think that's a good way to do it. So you give the that way we could compare and contrast. As you see here, with the Rock Slide, you're able to beat Charizard because you can hit it with Rock Slide. Or you bait both shields and then you hit it with Rock Slide. Or if you hit it with Rock Slide, then it dies. So you can take out Charizard. And you still beat Articuno. So it looks like with Cross Chop and Payback, you can beat Giratina, but in order for you to beat... Well, this is Gear O, but you have to double bait. See, you have to double bait, and then you have to... And then this is literally a 1 HP in a dream scenario. This is... The odds of this happening are extremely low, because if you land a Payback, you can probably you can probably win the matchup. But in the normal sense, you would have to double bait, and then you can Payback. And you live with 1 HP, so... Very dangerous matchup right there. Very, very bait dependent. You beat you win against Empoleon, Excalibur, Ferrothorn. You lose against Confusion Mirrors and basically anything that resists counter. Even Ghost at this point because there's 2 shields. You just beat down Lapras. The mirror match is entirely based on who wins CMP. You beat Melmetal. You lose against Arm Mewtwo just because of confusion damage. You beat Amok. You beat Obstagoon, Poliwrath, Registeel, Scizor, Snorlax, and Swampert. So you still beat a ton of things, but this is why you need Cross Chop, because Cross Chop is what allows you to take out all of this entire list. Like you're literally Cross Chop down. That's how powerful Machamp is. Machamp, all you do is just Cross Chop, Cross Chop, Cross Chop, Cross Chop, and then the Cross Chop damage and the counter damage is enough to take out whatever is in front of you. You do lose against Toge's Pretty Star, so be careful about that, regardless of whether you have Rock Slide or not. You lose against Toxoke, and you lose against... Well, you beat Venusaur with the Shadow version, but I believe here you have to double bait. So this is a super baity matchup. Yep, bait, and then Rock Slide. So you can beat Venusaur, but you have to... It's a bait-dependent matchup. Alright, so there's the 2 shield. Here's the 1 shield. I'm going to run the 1 shield now. As you see here, like, for the 2 shield, really... If you run Rock Slide or not, it's just really up... Like, the only thing is the Charizard matchup and the Venusaur matchup, which is super bait-dependent anyways. So now I'm gonna hit battle for the 1s, and as you see in the 1s, this is where Rock Slide really kind of matters. Without Rock Slide, as you see here, you will lose against Articuno just because you need Rock Slide to finish it off. Charizard, you can win with the Charizard, you can win with Payback, but it's rough. As you see, you barely win this matchup. You live with 2 HP. So Payback does finish off Charizard, but you live this matchup with 2 HP, and you have to bait the shield. So you have to bait with Cross Chop, otherwise you lose. So this is a very baity matchup. With Rock Slide, you can take out Dragonite. Otherwise, use Clefable, Cresselia, and Dragonite. Like I said, unless you have Rock Slide. You beat Empoleon, you beat Excalibur, you beat Ferrothorn. This is the one where it goes on because Shadow Champ can beat Ultra Giratina in the 1s. This is one of the really unique ones, but it's a bait-dependent matchup. As you see here, Payback does 146, so you do 75% of Giratina's health. So you could set it up where you finish off Giratina with Payback. However, this is still a really close matchup since you come out of this with only 4 HP left. So if you have a little bit of chip damage, if you have just like, well, let's see. Yeah, you have 18 HP left. So if you are hurt and you are behind energy, this is not going to work, unfortunately. And you have to land the Payback and you have to bait. So it's really, really risky. You lose against Gira Alter, you lose. Well, this is what's kind of bad too, because you still lose if it's the Dragon Breath version, because Dragon Breath just Dragon Breath you down. You'll lose against Gira Alter in the 1s as well as Gramble, and again Machamp you only win if you win CMP, or whoever wins CMP wins the matchup. You beat Lapras straight Cross Chop down. Same thing with Melmetal, Alolan Muck, Obstagoon, Armored Mewtwo. You're still gonna lose because of confusion damage. And it looks like with Cross Chop and Payback, you can still... Well, it looks like to beat Swampert, I believe you just go straight Cross Chop. Oh, you have to Payback. So you have to bait, and then you go... Can you just go straight Cross Chop? I believe you can. No, you have to... Oh, so you could flip the Swampert matchup, but it's a bait-dependent matchup with Machamp with Payback. If it's the Shadow version, you can, just because of damage. So, another bait-dependent matchup. So it looks like, other than the Flyers, which you cover, the 1s you lose, like, in the 1s, Rock Slide's better than Payback. With Payback, it's not even super safe because, like I mentioned, with Giratina, you have to bait, or you have to have energy lead, or you have to be able to nuke down Gira Altered in order for you to win. Alright, so we did the ones, now the closer. As you see, the one's a little more dangerous than the 2 shield. The closers, it's technically your second best position, but as you see here in the closer, unless you have Rock Slide, you won't be able to take out Charizard. Shadow Champ can actually take out Articuno, so in a sense, Shadow Champ is actually better than regular Machamp, in a sense, but like that matchup I told you about Gear Altered doesn't make it too comfortable. Ironically, here you're able to beat Dragonite. I'm not sure why you lose with Dragonite with the Shadow one, so with Dragon, I'm guessing it gets the Shadow Claw and just burns you down. Yeah, just gets the Shadow Claw and burns you down. So that's just Dragon Breath damage just so much. You're able to take out Dragonite and Driplet. Well, you can still take out Driplet, so this is a good thing. In the closer, you could take out Driplet. So with Payback or Rock Slide, you can take out Driplet, which is one of the reasons why you have Payback to take out Ghost. Take out Empoleon and Excavalier, Ferrothorn. You lose against Gallade, Gengar, both versions of Gira, unfortunately. So you only beat Gira if you have energy lead or if you have shield advantage, I think. And in that one shield bait scenario with Shadow Champ. You beat Lapras, this is a bait dependent matchup in Shadow Champ, whoever wins CMP wins the match. Or depending on energy / health scenario, etc. So you beat Melmetal, you beat Muck, you beat Obstagoon. It looks like with Shadow Champ you could beat Poliwrath. You lose against, this is a very wonky one, so it looks like you lose against Scizor just because you get out damaged. I'm guessing that's what happens here. Or Ironhead just takes you out. I'm guessing it's Ironhead takes you out. So if we do the simulation, Scizor wins because, yeah, Ironhead just takes you out. So you beat Snorlax, you lose against Swampert, Togekiss, Toxicroak, and Venusaur. So you lose against a lot of, like, well, you're going to lose against Charmers, obviously. But even, like, with Rock Slide, it doesn't really matter. But in the closing scenario, Rock Slide actually covers more than Payback itself. So that's the zeros. What if you have shield advantage? So what if you're in the 1-0 scenario? So if we're in the 1-0s, then looks like, let's see, is there anything that you beat? So with Rock Slide or Payback, you beat everything. With Shadow Champ, you take out Drifblim. You still lose against Clefable, and you still lose against Cresselia. That's because Cresselia gets to double Moonblast regardless of whether you have a shield or not. And then it just takes you out. Yeah, it just gets to double Moonblast and takes you out, so unfortunately. You beat Dragonite, you beat Shadow Dragonite with either version. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You lose against Gira Altered in the 1-0s. Wait, what? Why did you win the 1s? Yep, it's very weird. You beat Gira Origin, you can beat Gira, you can be the Shadow Claw one. So you could be the Shadow Claw, but that's the Dragon Breath one, so I'm wrong. So as long as it's the Dragon Breath one, you lose against the Dragon Breath one no matter what. If it's Shadow Claw, you can win in the 1-0s. You also take out Gallade and Gengar. So Gengar's kind of popular. Not kind of popular, it's like more uncommon. I don't really see Gallades in Open Ultra, but if you do see one, you do win if you're in the 1-0s. Even though it has confusion, because you could, I'm guessing Payback, you're able to just Payback it to death. You beat Gira Origins because you could Payback it. You still lose against Charmers. And you beat everything else except for Togekiss, of course, because it's a Charmer. Now, here's the interesting. Shadow Champ can actually beat Toxicroak. In the 1-0s, you beat Toxicroak, and you can beat Venusaur. So you just straight cross-chop down. In the 2-0s, I'm assuming you beat everything but Charmers. Yep, you beat everything but Togekiss, Granbull, and Clefable. So then the 2-0s is where you'll beat all versions of Giratina, all the ghosts, and everything that's weak to Payback in general. As you see here, this is where the Rock Slide doesn't shine because you can't take out Gira Altered with the Rock Slide. So the 2-0s, yes, and being able to take out a version of Gira Altered and in some things is still really good, but it's not super great. And now if you're in the 2-1, so if you have shield advantage, you can take out Articuno, Charizard. You can take out Cresselia with Shadow Champ. So I'm guessing you hit double Payback, but you still have to bait the shield. So you bait the shield, and then you Payback. Okay, so you have to hit a Payback and a cross chop. So you have to hit a Payback, at least one Payback, and then you can cross chop for the W. But you need 2 shields to beat Cresselia, or you lose. So you need 2 shields or energy lead, or you're gonna lose. Because even one Payback doesn't completely KO Cresselia. It still has a hefty amount of HP left. You'll be able to beat Dragonite with a regular one. I think you Payback it. Drifblim, Empoleon, Excavalier, Ferrothorn. You'll lose against Gallade, unfortunately. You'll still beat all 3 versions of Gira, which is really good with shield advantage. You lose against Granbull because it charms you down. You beat Lapras, Machamp, Melmetal. Mewtwo still kills you because of confusion damage. And Togekiss. And you lose to Togekiss. But other than that, you beat the rest of the meta. Toxicroak, Venusaur, Snorlax, Swampert, Poliwrath, etc. as long as you're in the 2-1. So with shield advantage, Machamp has some really strong plays. So it looks to be like as long as you give it shields and energy, Machamp can make some plays to circumvent those Giratinas and those like Gallades slash Gengars, etc. You just have to be really careful of Charm. But other than that, it looks like unless it's in the closing scenario, I think Payback has a lot of play, and Machamp rightfully belongs where it's at. It does require a bit of skill to play, so that's really up to you on how you want to run like your Machamp. Because like I said, you have to land Payback on those things, and if it's a Dragon Breath Giratina, you still lose. Alright, so if I had to give Open Ultra Machamp with Payback a rating, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It's actually not that bad. So the thing about Machamp, when you play it with Payback in Open Ultra, you're going to pivot away from a lot of things you're weak to anyway. So things that you would cover with Rock Slide, unless you happen to find yourself in that matchup, for example, like you do get a Gyarados in the lead and you get locked into it, you're going to want to switch out anyways. But what makes it really good is that you cover a lot of your weaknesses. So you're able to be Giratina altered as long as it doesn't have Dragon Breath in a lot of scenarios. So you're able to cover yourself. The problem is the scenarios where you're strong against, you basically need energy or shield advantage. Does that make sense? With shield advantage, you're able to get and cover with Payback with your weaknesses. But you need shield advantage. So if that's the problem. That's the big problem with Machamp, because it takes so much energy. There's a lot of things in Open Ultra that can outspam you, which is why you lose against Cresselia in the 1 shield, or in the 0-1s, because Cresselia can still get to 2 Moonblast before it takes you out. But as you see, it's not bad. With the Rock Slide variation, you have over here 76%, 284. You switch it to Payback, it's not that bad. Switch it to Payback, 71. So it's only a whole 5%, which isn't that bad. And like I mentioned, you do cover your weaknesses, and you can take out things like Drifblim, etc. as long as you have Payback and you have energy. I think that's the only con with Machamp is just the energy. So you need energy. The reason why you want counter Cross Chop instead of Karate Chop is because it gives you that damage so that you could take an Articuno with Cross Chop. In other words, you don't need a Rock Slide. But with Payback, the thing about Payback, and that makes it difficult, it takes a lot of energy. So it would take you 9 counters to get to 1. And like I mentioned, you don't even kill all versions of Giratina. And you have to bait in some scenarios, like I think in the 2s, you have to bait with 1 version. It's baity, and like I said, unless you have energy advantage and they're down shields, you're not guaranteed to hit Payback. If you fail to hit Payback and they have energy advantage, you're going to almost likely get outpaced by the Giratina in front of you. And like I mentioned, a Gira Altered can, like Dragon Breath version, still beat you in almost every scenario. So it's still not a comfy matchup with Payback. With Payback, the only 2 types you cover are Psychic and Ghost. With Ghost Dragon, yes, you cover Giratina in some scenarios, and you also cover things like Cresselia or Mewtwo. So you can cover your other than that, if you compare it to Rock Slide, Payback, in my opinion, is better. Barely better, but it's actually better, because if you're going to try to Rock Slide a Togekiss in the closer, you get locked into that thing anyways. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to lose to subsequent charms unless you have a Rock Slide banked and it has damage on it. So a lot of things that you would kill with Rock Slide in the closer, you will pivot out of. So in my opinion, I think Payback is better just to give you that coverage. Yes, you lose the Gyarados matchup, but it's better to lose 1 matchup than losing a matchup which you will almost guarantee to lose, which is Giratina. Anyways, if you guys like Machamp with Payback, in my opinion, it's like the difference is almost like super. It's not meager. It's just basically what you want to cover, etc. Yeah, there is merits to Rock Slide. There is merits to Payback. In my opinion, I like Payback better just because, like I said, you can beat Giratina in some scenarios. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'll be doing more Machamp videos until I cover every single lead with Payback. Again, have good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.